Wait, that's not the kind of gun that can be pump action. How did he— oh! Can you see all of me? Walk into my mystery. Step inside and hold for dear life. Do you remember me? Capture you and set you free. I am all of me. I So, after Sonic Heroes, Sega thought that the idea of making spin-off games featuring Sonic's various friends would be a good idea, and after all, what would be the point of this massive cast if you didn't really use them? And plenty of them did have potential for their own games, like Tails or Knuckles, as well as the one who was selected to receive a spin-off first and foremost, Shadow. Since Shadow was a darker character, it was decided that they were going to make a darker and more edgy Sonic game with guns, swearing, aliens, swearing, more guns, and a whole lot of damn. To my understanding, the game was originally aiming for a T for teen rating, but partway through development, the E10 Plus rating was introduced, and thus it was decided to scale back the edginess by a bit. According to one of the voice actors, they did record lines with different severity levels of swear words within them, some of which had the characters dropping the F-bomb, and God, do I want to hear that. But Sega probably has that shit buried at the center of the earth, right next to the raw audio for the SpongeBob episode Sailor Mouth. Come November of 2005, Shadow the Hedgehog released on PS2, Xbox, and GameCube to— Jesus Christ, a 45 out of 100 for the PS2 port? So in case this isn't obvious, while some people did enjoy the game, the larger community did not. The plot was laughable. The adult nature, some stated, was a betrayal to longtime Sonic fans. Some even called the controls and levels frustrating. Now, I personally think all of those are drastic exaggerations, but there is some truth to those old reviews. I remember when I first played Shadow, and there were some things that I liked, some stuff that I didn't, and things that absolutely pissed me off. But at the end of the day, I don't think I would honestly say that this is that bad of a game. Of course, that was back then. Nowadays, I like to think I'm a little more seasoned, and my opinions on a lot of the games from when I was a kid and teenager have changed, so I wonder if I will love Shadow, hate it, or be indifferent to it. Well, let's not waste any more time and ride right on into Shadow the Hedgehog. Our story begins with Shadow standing outside this city, wondering about his past since he's been suffering from memory loss after his orbital plummet in SA2. Then out of nowhere, aliens begin to rain down and terrorize the city. Lol, what stupid humans.
Shadow, it's me, your papa. Now go find the 7 Chaos Emeralds so that I can become the devil.
No. Much to Shadow's dismay, he obliges and rushes into Westopolis, only to encounter— Hey Shadow, wanna help me exterminate these black creatures? Oh, what the fuck, Sonic?
Shadow, help me eradicate these foolish monkeys.
Oh god, that sounds even worse. Soon Shadow does manage to grab the first 2 emeralds. Meanwhile, the commander of Gun, Abraham Towers, learns that Shadow is in Westopolis and commands his army to gun down Shadow at all costs. After a bit of an argument with his daddy, Black Doom warps Shadow to these ruins where we soon encounter Knuckles. Hey Shadow, wanna help me kill all these black creatures? Why are you all racist now? Aren't you supposed to be the good guys? But Shadow, I'm black. No, you're fucking not. Shadow decides not to help either side and sticks to his own path where he finds the 3rd emerald along the way. We are then introduced to the President of the United States of America.
Oh, this is just absolutely fabulous. Drone strike the wedding, sundry fun to school so I can get more head gel. God, I wish those 2 heroes were here so they could kill more of those black creatures.
Shadow warps to Prison Island, or well, what's left of it after it was nuked by Eggman back in SA2, but that shouldn't prove to be an issue for him since—
Shadow, let me tell you about my new favorite Wikipedia article. Cock and ball
Shadow finds that damn 4th Chaos Emerald and rolls out. Meanwhile, Dr. Eggman sees all the destruction caused by the Black Arms and Gun and decides that he too wants a slice of that pie.
Shadow, what the fuck fuck is that?
Oh, it's just a JPEG. You can tell because not only is it not moving, meaning it can't be a GIF, but it's also too low quality to be a PNG.
Do I look like I know what a JPEG is? I just want a picture of a goddamn hot dog.
Shadow, I wasn't talking to my Discord kitten. Can you destroy some jewels for me?
Shadow, I am begging and pissing myself at this request. Destroy the doctor's ships so that I can claim his Discord kitten for myself.
I fucking hate all of you. Shadow warps to this jungle only to be greeted by an army of Shadow androids created by Dr. Eggman, which frankly freaks Shadow the fuck out and makes him question if he too is an android. Shadow, we are going to completely drop the Black Arms plotline and kill Dr. Eggman. Ignoring Omega's, frankly, genocidal request, Shadow manages to find the entrance to Dr. Eggman's hideout, only to be confronted by the Mad Doctor himself. Doctor, why were there a bunch of sex bots of me? Am I a sex bot too?
No fucking shit!
Oh god, that explains the different vibration settings. After a brutal fight with Eggman, Shadow and Omega manage to make their way inside the Doctor's volcanic base and work their way through it in spite of Eggman begging Shadow to help him instead set up the base's defenses. Eventually, Shadow and Omega come face to face with Eggman in this, gambling robot.
No! Not Shadow Flavor!
Okay, no, that's not actually what happens. Shadow is able to defeat Eggman and gather the last of the Chaos Emeralds. Finally, I got all the Chaos Emeralds.
Shadow, you fucking bastard! How could you do this?
Very easily. And now, I will become the world's ultimate pleasure device with the power of these emeralds. I am going to become the only sex bot.
What?
Oh, and I'm ending racism. This brings us to the end of Shadow the Hedgehog. Kind of. You see, what I just summarized for you is what the game refers to as the A New Empire's beginning story route. What makes Shadow so unique is its branching story paths. Within the various levels are different missions, dark, neutral, and hero, and depending on which mission you complete, will take you on a different journey. This will then cause the levels to branch out, and depending on if you side with the heroes or the villains in the final stage, will give you 1 of 10 endings. What this means is that you have 326 possible routes that you can take to reach one of the endings, which is actually quite impressive, although I do not envy the unpaid intern that had to sit there and name every single one of them. This also means that Shadow has an immense replay value to it, more than any other Sonic game before it, and it helps that each route should in theory last you maybe 1 to 2 hours each. That means that if you're going for just all 10 endings and nothing else, you'll get quite a lot of time out of this game, but maybe we should actually discuss those missions first since, well... Okay, so there are several types of missions that Shadow will have you do. Reach the end of the level, activate/destroy 5 objects within the level, or kill every enemy of the opposite side in the level. So you know how back in Heroes, I complained about how some of the Chaotix missions required you to find objects within the levels, and they would often only have the exact amount required? Well, they decided that it was such a good idea that they would do it again. I'm sorry, but, why? Who enjoyed that stuff in Heroes enough that they decided that it would be a good idea to bring it back for Shadow? To give Shadow a bit of credit though, you can use the checkpoints as warp, so if you know where an enemy is that you missed, you can warp back to that part of the level as opposed to Heroes where you had to go all the way back to the beginning. And not to mention, most of Heroes levels are longer in design compared to the ones in this game. The various characters of the Sonic Gang give you these missions, mostly the hero missions, with the neutral missions being Shadow just kind of doing whatever the hell he wants, and the dark missions being handed out by Black Doom and Eggman. Although, if you listen to them, they sound different now, don't they? Starting with this game, the entire Adventure era voice cast was replaced with the 4Kids dub actors for the Sonic X anime. Unfortunately, a lot of them fit these characters pretty well already, given that they've been voicing them for a few years prior. It was actually speculated, though, that the reason for the change in cast was due to the unfortunate passing of Dr. Eggman's voice actor, Dean Bristow. However, it has been since confirmed that the decision to replace them all was made prior to Bristow's passing. This means instead of Ryan Drummond, we now have Jason Griffith supplying the voices of Sonic, Shadow, and Espio. Quite a lot of things he gets to do here, but I think he's fine for all of these roles, and to be honest, I love his Sonic and Shadow. Most important is our main villain, Dr. Eggman, who is now voiced by, Mike Pollock. Well, that's upsetting. Anyway, like I was saying, throughout the game, you'll run into various characters who will ask tasks of Shadow, which will determine what path you go on.
Find the computer room!
Buy me some cigarettes.
Shadow, my new favorite Wikipedia article is sexually active poop!
What I appreciate is that the characters will actually join you and can even help in attacking enemies and bosses. Although they all play exactly the same as Shadow, which honestly I think is a missed opportunity. At least the core gameplay isn't that bad, for the most part I want to stress. I believe Shadow is built on top of Heroes, and as a consequence of that, Shadow has some slippery ass shoes, which I guess makes sense given those rocket skates, but I don't know, controlling Shadow in this game just feels like an imprecise chore sometimes. At least everything else functions like it did in Heroes, and they even took strides in improving the lightspeed dash and rail grinding, which both, I feel, are now really solid mechanics with little to no issues. Perhaps the biggest addition to Shadow the Hedgehog is the addition of weapons. Shadow can now pick up various weapons either dropped by enemies or hidden within these crates. If there is one thing I've seen consistently praised about this game throughout the years, it is the weapon system, and I honestly think it is the best part of the game. Everything has ammo or durability, but you get just enough to where you get a good idea of how that weapon works, and most enemies will drop weapons so you can experiment with them as well. You got a nice assortment of melee weapons to play around with varying ranges, but the real stars of the show here are the guns. I'm not kidding when I say the gunplay is well integrated into the gameplay. For starters, as long as you're within the general direction of an enemy and are within range, Shadow will lock onto the enemy, so you don't need to be overly precise. Another nice thing is that you don't have to worry about magazines or reloading, which yes is unrealistic, but for the sake of keeping up the fast-paced gameplay, I welcome it. There is also something very entertaining about seeing Shadow pick up a Glock, walk up to a soldier, and just... The variety of guns is well appreciated too. You got your pistols, your AKs, your standard stuff, but you can also get rocket launchers, laser guns, miniguns, hell, you can even unlock a gun that lets you shoot an Omochow at enemies, or this vacuum gun inspired by Billy Hatcher, another game developed by Sonic Team. It's honestly probably the most well thought out part of this game, especially when you take into consideration the chaos abilities Shadow has, which frankly aren't. Okay, well, one of them is fine, but first, as you defeat enemies, you'll build up these gauges at the top of the screen, but which gauge fills up depends on the faction of enemies you kill. If you kill hero enemies, you'll build up the red gauge, which when filled, will allow you to unleash Chaos Blast, a powerful blast of energy which deals significant damage to enemies and can even destroy some level objects. Another ability can be used by building up the blue gauge, which is done by killing
disgusting black creatures. Get out of my sight.
Thank you, Edgy the Hedgie. Also, what the fuck? Anyway, once that blue gauge is built up, you can unleash Chaos Control, which will cause Shadow to zoom through the stages, which is fine for missions where you don't have to kill any enemies in the level, because if you're on one of those missions, you don't want to use Chaos Control. I feel like this ability is contradictory to just have in the game. It should have just allowed you to stop time for a few seconds like Team Dark's Team Blast in Heroes. Another thing I find underbaked is the levels. Now, to give Sonic Team credit, there are more levels here than in Heroes, but I think this is an instance of quantity over quality. First of all, I don't think any of these levels come anywhere close to the best ones from Heroes or the adventure titles. They're very one-note and straightforward, but then again, given that the mission structure, it's probably a good thing that they are straightforward. I do at least enjoy both of the cyberspace levels, Digital Circuit and Mad Matrix, for their visuals and unique designs. The city levels are all just fine, they're nothing special, but they're never offensive, except maybe with Stopless, since in order to get the true ending, you have to play this level 10 fucking times. Actually, you know what, no, I want to talk about that for a second. Who the fuck thought that this was okay? At first it wasn't that bad, but then by playthrough 4, I was bum rushing this place. On playthrough 7, I was ready to pull my hair and teeth out at the thought of having to replay this stupid ass city level again. then, by playthrough numero 10, I had achieved nirvana, a certain peace of mind, because I realized I never have to play Westopolis ever again. Then you got shit like these jungle levels, one of which has you surfing on a goth gamer girl's piss. I know it's her piss because of how acidic it is, because she eats nothing but Doritos and drinks Monster Energy all day. Then there are the arc levels, which...
Oh shit, here we go again.
No, wait, am I going the right way? Where the fuck am I? Why did Gerald design such dog shit transportation? Maria, what the hell are you doing? Okay, just keep going in. Oh, what the fuck? It's done. I was in that level for 20 fucking minutes. I don't even think that's the worst part of it. Because of how this game is structured, you'll end up repeating some levels multiple times. At least you can avoid some if you know what you're doing, like the arc levels. But again, I point to Westopolis. But it isn't the only one, because you have to experience every 6th level at least twice in order to get both of the endings that they offer. The levels aren't the only things you'll have to repeat multiple times, because there are several bosses in this game that you have to fight multiple times, and these bosses, they just suck. They don't suck for the same reasons that, say, Sonic Superstars bosses do, but rather because these asshats have a ton of health and as a result can take forever to kill. The Black Bull, or pit bull named Cupcake, is fought at 2 different points in the game, and because of how the structure is, you could end up having to fight this thing twice in one run-through. And it just isn't mentally engaging as a boss both times you fight it. The first one, you just do the same thing 12 or so times, and the second, you can just... Oh, and don't even get me started with Egg Dealer. You have to fight this thing as the final boss to 4 different routes. You just have to keep hitting it in the slots and get it to attack Eggman. But I swear, this thing has so much health that it feels like it just takes forever. That is also on top of the fact that if Eggman gets the slots off first, then that's another few seconds lost, and it just ends up making this whole thing feel like it's just meandering. On some routes, you end up fighting Black Doom, and his fight is honestly okay. It's not good, but it's okay. And then, on a select few, you have to fight Sonic and the Gun Commander, and Jesus Christ, this one in particular was boring. It is so repetitive, and you deal so little damage to the robot that the commander is in that it ends up being the second worst offender for bad bosses in this game. You know, while I am tangentially thinking about it, this also just shows how some routes can end up dropping certain plot lines as you go on. The Black Arms, they can end up just disappearing for an entire playthrough, and then on others, Eggman will just try to make an entrance, but because of how this game is structured, he'll only end up showing up for maybe like 1 level, and that depends on what path you go through. As a result, the story is flexible, and that is a detriment, and I think it doesn't help that your choice of what path you go on, which ultimately determines who you want Shadow to become, is thrown out the fucking window thanks to the fact that this game has a last story segment. Okay, but before that, let's go ahead and get the music out of the way, and I think this game's soundtrack overall is okay. There isn't really much that's super memorable here in my head, aside from the 2 Crush 40 tracks, but, I mean, you know. I Am All of Me and Never Turn Back, they're bangers through and through. This game did give us the first ever iteration of All Hail Shadow, and while I do prefer the Crush 40 cover that came after this game, I would be nuts to deny the fact that this version still kicks ass. Final Haunt, I feel, is the only real memorable stage theme, which is a shame, but hey, 1 out of, oh god, 26, that is kind of bad. One last song that I'll highlight is Waking Up, a vocal theme which plays during the credits for the neutral routes, and I honestly think that it is kind of an underrated banger.
Waking up, breaking out. This is what it's like to be free. Rip it up, tear it down. This is what it is.
Okay, so in order to unlock the last story segment, you need to have gotten all 10 endings, which means a minimum of 10 playthroughs. Once you have gotten all 10 endings, you can begin the true ending to Shadow the Hedgehog.
Finally, now I can do everything that I want to do.
Good shit, Shadow. Now, give me the emeralds and I promise I won't kill everyone at once.
Shadow, I need the emeralds.
No, I need them.
Where's my cigarettes?
La 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 la. Get fucked, morons.
Black Doom then uses Chaos Control to warp the Black Comet down to the surface and begins sucking up all of the planet's life energy. He then reveals the truth about Shadow's past. Gerald Robotnik was having some trouble creating the ultimate life form, until Black Doom showed up and offered Gerald his blood in order to create Shadow. But this was at the cost that at one day Black Doom would return and use Shadow to gather the 7 Chaos Emeralds.
Why, I ought to break off my fist up your ass!
Knuckles, what's going on?
Yeah, that's not gonna happen. Now, my little butthole creatures, eat Sonic's stupid ass friends.
No, this is a load of bullshit. I will destroy you, Black Doom.
Okay, good luck with that edgy the hedgy fucking asshole.
We move on into the true final level of the game, The Last Way, which is just frankly a harder version of the Black Comet levels from the base game, except these ones actually will require you to use Chaos Control in order to make it through. And you have to keep moving since you have a time limit of 10 minutes to clear the level before Sonic and Co. are unfortunately eaten alive.
Hey, guess what?
What? Ah!
You see, Shadow, since my blood runs through your veins, I can control you. You still don't get it. All of the world's Discord kittens will be mine forever and ever.
Then suddenly a video from Professor Gerald and Maria play, thanks to Charmy being Charmy, where Gerald reveals that the Eclipse Cannon was actually developed to destroy the Black Comet, and that the future of the planet now lies on Shadow.
What a dumb fuck. This is why Gun killed him and his lame-ass granddaughter.
You know what? Fuck you!
No, Shadow. Fuck you.
No, super fuck you!
With the power of the Chaos Emeralds, Shadow has transformed into Super Shadow and confronts Black Doom, who has transformed into Devil Doom. And this final boss fucking sucks. First off, you get this projectile attack in the form of Chaos Spear, but I swear the thing rarely ever wants to lock onto what you need it to, whether that be Devil Doom's eye or these balloons that contain rings which you need to maintain your super form. Top this off with the fact that just like every other boss in the game, Devil Doom has a lot of health, and as a result, this fight will last a good while, long enough to a point where Eggman will call Shadow to inform him that he is indeed the real Shadow from Sonic Adventure 2 and not an android. After about, good god, 9 minutes, Devil Doom finally falls.
Nice cock. Unfortunately, I am about to have sexual relations with your mother.
Shadow uses Chaos Control to warp the Black Comet directly in front of the Eclipse Cannon, which proceeds to utterly destroy the comet, bringing an end to the Black Arms and ensuring that Black Doom never returns. Until Shadow Generations, but, you know, he does remain dead for a good while at least. Everyone celebrates Shadow's victory from the surface, while Shadow himself decides that it's finally time for him to move on and leave his past behind him. With one final look at the picture of Maria and Gerald, he tosses it behind him and bids farewell to Shadow the Hedgehog. This game is very interesting to me, like to a point where I would love to peek into the minds of Sonic Team at the time and just analyze what was going on in there. Shadow is full of so many baffling decisions on a gameplay and progression level that I just can't comprehend why. Why were the missions structured in the worst way they possibly could have? Why was the story made like this? Why was Shadow the Hedgehog made like this? But you know what the ultimate kicker is? As much as Shadow gets wrong, I do think it also does some good. I honestly don't mind the darker tone of the game, and given that it focuses on Shadow, I think it's rather fitting. The improvements to the mechanics from heroes like rail grinding are a genuine positive, and the gunplay is so well implemented. I wouldn't call Shadow a bad game, rather, one that has positives and negatives, but ultimately is confused on what it's trying to do. Well, That was just a palate cleanser. After Shadow the Hedgehog, Sega was aiming for a new Sonic game on the then next generation of consoles, which means it's time that we finally look at Sonic the Hedgehog 2006. Subscribe to the channel if that sounds fun to you, and leave a like and a comment should you choose. And with all that said, have a great day or night. Peace.